So we've talked about this too on the show before, Lana. We've talked about polls, and there's a lot of polls that have come out recently. Without going over the specific numbers, because I read them, and quite frankly, the specific numbers, I mean, just I don't even care about this anymore.
Right.
I don't. Let me ask you: do you care about it?
It's too early. I mean, I don't care anyway, but it's way too early. Way too early. I think come the end of the summer, we should see a little movement with the polls, right? Like we don't trust the polls, but there also should be polls that have Biden a little closer because like these polls are kind of out of control. I'm just like, I don't.
Well, the numbers I was talking about, and that's what I said, I didn't give the specifics, but just the roundabout numbers, and you get the point, is that, some of the polls are showing that Biden won with women big on the last one, and now they're saying they're essentially tied
Right.
together with women. With the black voters, of course, they won huge, and the black voters gained 20 points with Trump on this latest poll. It must have been the sneakers or the T-shirt that he's wearing. What I thought I heard Charles Barkley the other day say something. If I saw a black person walking around with a Donald Trump mugshot T-shirt, I would punch him in the face.
Well, I'm glad Barkley said that because sometimes you don't know what Barkley's going to say.
Well, Barkley's a loose cannon. There's no question. And I think that's why he's so popular. But he, but there are a couple other poll numbers that came out today regarding the 2020 election, and this was on Super Tuesday. This is exit polling. So if you are wondering why there is any reason why either Donald Trump would be leading or he's even close to Joe Biden, because in reality, in the world of logistics and the world of intelligence, first of all, Donald Trump wouldn't even be close to a nominee. That's number one.
Sure.
But the fact that he is a nominee, again, adding in the world of logistics and intelligence, he should get, I'm talking about obliterated. Like like every poll should show like 90-10, something like that.
Right.
But there's reasons why they don't. And let's listen to some of these interesting numbers that came out. These are Super Tuesday people who voted today in the Republican primaries in Virginia and in North Carolina, and they were asked some questions post-voting.
North Carolina and Virginia. In Virginia, do you think Biden legitimately won the 2020 election? Now, here we see more of an even split of those participating in the Republican primary. 45% say yes, Biden legitimately won. 46% incorrectly say no, Biden did not legitimately win the 2020 election. That's similar to what we saw in New Hampshire, a sort of even split. If you look, though, in North Carolina, it's a different story. Far more election deniers in the North Carolina Republican primary electorate.
Lana, we have seen legitimate zero evidence that the 2020 election had anything that was awry that would have led to a candidate winning, and a candidate winning by such a large margin, at least in the popular vote wise. It has been to over 60 court cases thrown out, in every single one of them with Trump appointed judges. Why are we seeing these numbers?
America is crazy. Like MAGA is crazy. They don't care. They twist anything and everything. It doesn't matter.
Could it be that they get their news from just a certain source?
That's true too. But Donald Trump himself could say, hey guys, you know what? I actually lost the 22 election. And then they wouldn't believe him.
They wouldn't.
They would be like, nah, just like with COVID.
As I say, they did that with the vaccines.
Yeah, after he got the vaccine, he's like, no, God, everyone, you can take the vaccine. I got it. It's fine. They're like, oh, they just went nuts on him. And that was like the last time that he said the vaccine was okay. He's like, okay, never mind.
Well,
Yeah.
I've said once, I'll say it a million times, and at this point, you can't convince me otherwise. There's only one reason why this happens is because there is legitimately no regulation on truth telling
Right.
in what is supposed to be news sources. And then when you add in podcasters who are completely
Right.
unqualified to talk
Right.
about politics, but they talk about it to an extremely large audience,
Yeah.
these are the results that we get from people who, again, you and I've talked about this. I'm not even sure they believe it necessarily, but they're not going to go against it now at this point. Like you said, it's so ingrained that even if they were convinced by somebody, if you or I were just sitting talking one-on-one with them and they'd be like, I know. 2 days later, they'd be asked by the CNN guy, the poll. He'd go, yeah, it absolutely was. So I think that's just, and that's a major problem that we just
But they don't
do and
care.
can't do
They
anything
don't.
about.
They don't care. Like the only thing that they want is that their side wins, and Trump is the closest thing on in their minds to their side as being a winner. Like they don't care, and you could just say it. You see it on Twitter. It's funny. Someone dropped. I don't know if Da was in this particular thread because he's in my mentions a lot, but I made a post about like how Donald Trump uses black people as props, which we know he does.
Mhm.
And then they now will try to prove that he does not. One person dropped a meme of Donald Trump talking, it was years ago too, talking to Al Sharpton. It was like Al Sharpton, somebody else, and then it was, I think James Brown was there. And they literally said something about how well Donald Trump relates. Here he is talking to, like, they said Al Sharpton, they said Maxine Waters, and they said someone else. And I'm like, Maxine Waters? That Maxine Waters is not on this picture. What are y'all talking about?
As I said, I think they look for any angle, they say anything, and basically now, again, all of this is so ingrained that the anger machine that has been built early by the Fox Newses and again perpetuated from there and has taken off to a place to where again that you see, when you look at these poll numbers, who votes for the Republican side the most? It is the white men and women who are uneducated. They're the highest turnout for the Republicans, the uneducated people. So it's easy to just get them riled up, and even though they're doing nothing for them, again, somebody asked one of the people out there, they were like, why are you voting for Donald Trump? Two things she said was he's a man of God and that they love his policies. And I just wish somebody would
What
ask them,
policy?
what policy
Right.
did you love of Donald
Right.
Trump that helped you and your family?
Right.
They'll say something stupid like he humped a fucking flag on stage or some dumb shit. All right, let's see what else.
Did you hear that man? Did you get that clip of he was like, no, I wouldn't vote for Nikki Haley because women just need to stay home and cook the dinner. Like, did you hear him say
That's
that?
not the same guy who said he wouldn't vote for a woman because she doesn't have balls to scratch, was it?
No.
Yeah, there's one of those geniuses that said that. I saw that today. Yeah. Let's continue to look at this depressing shit. Come on.
50%
No.
incorrectly say that Biden did not legitimately win the 2020 election. Only a third, 34%, say correctly that Joe Biden did win. We also asked that follow-up question that John Berman asked that voter in Colorado. If convicted of a crime, is Donald Trump still fit for the presidency? A majority in Virginia voting in the Republican primary today, 53%, say yes. Even as a convicted criminal, Donald Trump is fit for the presidency. 40% say no. In North Carolina, it is even more so. 64%, nearly.
Okay, I don't want to listen to that anymore because that's, I mean,
They said Donald Trump could be convicted of a felony and is still fit. Obama,
Right.
who went to Harvard,
The cleanest record.
cleanest record, was a senator,
Yep.
was a community activist, unfit.
Not only unfit, he will be in jail once Donald Trump takes over. So
That black man is not going to be in no jail.
trust me, that I know.
But Donald Trump will talk around it. But yeah.
Well, to kind of make sense of this, I haven't had my girlfriend on in a long time. Jessica Tarlov was on the
All
phone with the other
right.
4 clowns. And she laid
Nice.
this out when it came to the numbers when she saw these in the polls.
There were a few things, though, in the polls that stuck out to me as just kind of mind-bending. So in the Dobbs era, the New York Times Siena poll had him tied with women with Trump at 46. So Biden won 57% of women in 2020 before Roe v. Wade was taken away and before we've had 7 or 8 referendums on reproductive choice and before women have become, again, the angriest coalition of voters, and now suddenly they're tied. That makes no sense to me.
None.
I know that Donald Trump released gold sneakers and he's been indicted, so he thinks that black people like him more now. But do you really think that he's going to get 20% plus of the black votes? Completely upends electoral history. The Hispanic vote in the New York Times Siena poll, so only 3% of their interviews were done in Spanish, when about 20% of the Latino electorate is only Spanish speaking. So that seems like it's not particularly representative. And then the Gen Z vote, again, this idea that Donald Trump is appealing to a generation that cares about the things that he cares about the least on the planet, like reproductive choice, climate change, gun safety. And then just a Dean Phillips moment. Dean Phillips even tweeted this. He was getting 12% representation in one of the polls. He said, only 5% know who I am, and he gets about a percentage point in all of these caucuses. Something.
So she, obviously brings up a lot of good points. We talked about, something tells me a little bit with the Gen Z numbers right now, they're probably not exactly where they're going to be on voting day, because you do have a faction that, has decided that they are going to put all their chips in on Gaza. And again, there's absolutely nothing that you can say about what's going on over there that is not anything other than it's tragic, it's awful, and we wish nothing like this ever happened in our world. It does, but we're going to give up our entire democracy and we're going to take a chance. And I've even see some of the progressives online saying we're better off taking a chance of 4 years of Trump than we are with another 4 years of Biden, because whatever it is they say. Mona, help me out. What's happening here?
Yeah, I heard that too. And those are the people. Well, I don't know if it's young people saying that or if it's people like our age that are kind of privileged.
Well, they are, but I think they're convincing, because the progressive faction is the Gen Z. They're the younger voters. So I think that's why my point was, if you see those numbers in these polls, you're right. Who are they really? Well, they have to ask Gen Z voters, to get those numbers, but I think maybe they are a little skewed because they're looking at too much TikTok and, they're getting mad about Gaza, and they're being convinced right now that we're doing uncommitted. We're not voting for Joe Biden. And guess what? I got this spoiler alert. Trust me, they are voting for Joe Biden in November. I promise you they will. They'll come to their senses.
I think so too. I think they're mad now and they're laser focused on this. But as time goes on, the forefront is going to be women's reproductive health, right? We're not hearing about, and that's why I started tweeting about these women again, these issues and these abortion bans and women fleeing and children being impregnated by their rapists. Those things are low on the list of the news cycle right now, because it's so much Biden's age and it's so much Gaza going on. So like you said, that's all they're getting from TikTok. They're not seeing, and I really think that these women need to speak out more too. Like, I don't know if they're on local TV, but they really need to come out and tell their stories and like scream what's going on on the roofs. Like, let people know what's going on with your families, like this IVF, what's going on. No one can do we can do 4 years. I'm not having any more children.
Yeah.
I'm in a blue state. Maybe not safe, right? For my girls.
I was
Who
going to say,
knows?
you have
But
children, so I don't know if
right.
we can afford another 4 years. Even at my age, I've got no kids. I do not want to see another 4 years of Donald Trump, because that tells me it's over. The Supreme Court will be loaded with young, because Alito will retire, Thomas
Exactly.
will
Have
retire,
him
and they
retire.
will replace a minimum 2 Supreme Court justices with
Right.
very young people. So
Election
definitely for the rest of our lives.
And election deniers, like, they don't care.
Right,
They'll be
right.
way partisan. They won't care about anybody's law. Like, law, what is that? It would just be partisan. It would be horrific if we even have a Supreme Court. Like, who even knows what Trump does? And I was talking to DA earlier, because Republicans, if they have the numbers in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, those people got to get rid of the filibuster so they can pass all kinds of y'all will not even have gay marriage. That's just going to be gone. Interracial marriage, forget about it. Like,
they will demonize the transgender community. They will demonize everything that is anti-Christian, is basically what they will do. Speaking of DA says currently they are criticizing Biden for from the comfort of the United States.
right.
Yeah, the difference is Trump is going to deport their angry asses to Gaza. And see, that's the thing, is that, I know they're defending, the Muslim community, all that, and again, it's noble. I'm not arguing against it, but what I would argue with is that I am not dropping every single thing that I believe in and that I'm going to vote for this country based on what's happening in Gaza. I mean, I know that sounds bad, but that's ridiculous.
But this is how people are so short-sighted. 4 years of Trump. What do you think is going to happen to Gaza? Do you think Trump is going to end famine over there?
He already said that Israel needs to take them out.
What? He doesn't give a flying fuck about those people. So it would be 4 years of Palestine. Who is going to be what Trump is going to say? Like you said, he's going to ship Muslims. He started off with a Muslim ban.
Yeah, right.
He started off with Mexicans and Muslims. That's what he started.
Benjamin Netanyahu is dying for Donald Trump to win. He wants him to win. And I mean, again, I'm no expert on Israel and Gaza. What I do know is Benjamin Netanyahu is basically the Donald Trump of Israel. Right. So to have another one and 2 world leaders the same and being on the same side, that's another thing I'm certainly not interested in.